Hello everyone. Today we are going to see how we can scrape um, the Yahoo Finance page, especially the currencies market. Okay, the currencies page of Yahoo Finance using Beautiful Soup and Python. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So this is the boilerplate code. You need Beautiful Soup installed. So I'm just importing Beautiful Soup here and the request module. And once you've done that, you need the URL, which I've already pasted, which is a currencies thing. We're going to scrape everything over here. Okay, what the currencies are and what the conversion rates are, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and this is real time. You can see those things changing all the time. So you can set your, we're going to talk about how we can make this real time in terms of what it takes to do that at that scale. So right now, all we need is the latest snapshot, whatever it is, at whatever time to get all these data pieces and into a very structured way, right? So this is the boilerplate code. There's one weird thing called the user agent string that's very important. Good practice when you're doing web scraping, because if you don't identify yourself as a browser, it's very unlikely that you will get any result back. Most websites just block any web crawlers that they don't recognize. So I'm pretending to be on Macintosh and on Safari, and that should be good enough to get us through for now. Okay. Ideally, you'll need to rotate this, and we'll talk about that a little later. So let's get into actually just sort of downloading it first, and then we are going to run into how do we scrape it out. Okay. So to download, you're going to use the request module, not the Beautiful Soup module. Okay. Beautiful Soup depends on something to download it. So we're going to go to requests dot get. That's the function we're going to use, and simply pass the URL, and then you need to pass the headers. Okay, headers equals, in this case, the value header, and then this will pass back the response. Okay, just store the response here, and all you got to do is sort of go. Sorry, I'm just increasing the size so that you guys can see here. Right, so response object has the content. Now we're going to pass it to the soup. So this is for the first time that you're actually getting to see Beautiful Soup in action. So what we'll do is we pause the response object, but that doesn't give the HTML, so it needs the HTML. So that's in the content object, and then inside of that we need to still tell soup what to do with it, right? It's just HTML, which is just a string, has no meaning. So it needs to be passed as an XML document. Okay, and then we're going to collect that as a soup over here. Okay, now it's no longer a dump HTML dump, right? You can query this using selectors. So we're going to use selectors to query it, and the way we're going to do it is we're going to use soup dot select. That means give me everything of, let's say, this ID. You can say give me all ID bombastic, whatever. I couldn't think of any other word. Or the class, right? Class name, right? And then, or you can give me all H1s, give me all headlines, all Ahrefs. So I can just go A, right? Any tags like that, I can select any of that and get the stuff inside of it, the, the content inside of it. So let's see what is worthy of a selection here. So if I go back and use the inspect tool in Chrome, you will see that, yeah, you can see that the data is arranged in table. That's no surprise for us, just a neat arrangement. That's something that we suspected, I guess. And you can see that the class names are also pretty convenient. Data column 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. It keeps going. That's good enough for us. I don't think they change this every day. I've been looking at this for the last 3 years. It's more or less the same exact order. So that's pretty trustworthy. And then if you look at it, each of those is isolated into a table row class with a class data row INR equals X. All right. So we're going to see how we'll use the class names to actually pull out this data now. Okay, I can easily use a TR, but I'm just going to deliberately use this just to have some fun, just to show you another thing about this, which will be useful for you later. Okay, so let's start. Let's just pick out just for now. Let's not worry about the table data. Okay, we are going to just worry about the TD things. We are not going to do the column individual cells, right? So we're just going to worry about pulling out each individual row. Imagine this whole HTML document divided into just these rows. Can we split them and make separate rows out of that? Okay. So for that, we're going to use beautiful soup, select, and remember how we said. So the way to select that is dot class, but in this case, I'm going to explicitly name it class in using this sort of notation, right? I can go class equals to class name. Okay, so I'm just going to put that just for clarity for a second. I'm going to change it around a bit. Okay, so let me just pull this class name out and put it here. Now the problem with this is it has INR here, if you notice. That I suspect keeps changing. So if I just go here, even though it says data row here, it's data row euro INR here, and then GBP to INR here, AED to INR here. Right. So I'm in India, so therefore you'll see INR. Otherwise, whatever country you're in, you can just change the URL here and it'll become that. So feel free to do that. And then you can see the only common thing between them is data row. After that changes. So now that's a challenge, isn't it? Because how do you separate that? How do you say to soup, give me data row, but not worry about INX or whatever INR, right? Let's just say I don't want to worry about that. So the way to do it is to use this star operator. That means make sure that data row is present inside the class name. That's all I care about right now. Right. So then now what happens? Now we got um, this giving us an array back, right? Hopefully it'll match everything. It'll give us, and we're going to test it before we proceed further. And it'll give us a bunch of an array of select actually means select all. So it's going to give a bunch of rows with the class name data row. So what we'll do is we're going to just for each it now, right? So I'm going to say for item in. It's just a for loop I'm going to create. And inside that, I'm going to print each of those items. Okay. Now, I'm also going to print a separator because from experience, I know that without a separator, it'll all look like a lot of gibberish. Okay. So here I'm going to call this Yahoo currency. Okay. Let's put something like that, .py. And then we're going to go here, just clear this from the terminal and run this. Okay. Python 3 Yahoo cur.py. There you go. So if you notice this, at each separator, there is a TR class and it ends with the TR at the end. Right? So we've divided this whole weird HTML document into neat table rows. Now we just have to get the data within this. You can see the data hidden there. Right? So let's just get into it. Okay. Let's see what is it that we want to get. Let's just get one piece of data that will build our confidence here. So if inside of this TR, if I'm going to go into TD, you see that, like we already mentioned, data called 0 is a pretty good thing to just simply scrape out of this. So I'm just going to copy that, go back, back to the code, and then just place that for a second here. So see, now what we're going to do is we're going to query inside the item. Right? The select is not for the entire soup, but inside just the item. Item dot select, but select will still give us an array. So we'll need to be mindful of that. Otherwise, we'll create errors and we'll be wasting our time there for the next 15 minutes. I've been through that. So what we'll do is we'll just call a dot in this case. We need to not say the whole thing now because we're not using any magical operators. It's a pretty simple, straightforward equals operator. So we're going to just call it using that style of notation. Okay, so this, remember, will give us an array. If I remember that, then I need just the first element of the array, even though I know there'll be only one element with data calls, for this particular row, right? Even then I need to specify and call it as an item, not an array. Okay? So if I remember that, then I need to make sure also that this gives us HTML, which we don't like, just because this is the data now here, right? So we use explicitly call it get text rather than HTML, and let's just say print and see what happens. Instead of printing the item, let's just take this gibberish out, then see if it can give us just the symbols. Yes, there you go. We got the first column, which is literally the symbol of that currency. Okay, so we can put that into that variable and save it somewhere, whatever. But let's go and get some more. In this case, column 1, 2, 3, 4, literally till column 4, I think, is where we should stop. After that, it's more complicated data. I don't think we need. There is a chart as well, so it's not going to be textual data. So I'm going to just stop at column 5 actually, but it named column 4 because it starts with 0. So in this case, scraping is so easy. It never is this easy, trust me. I just copy paste it, and I'm just going to go with that much. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm not going to bother to put this into a variable or export it as CSV. All that you can do, I'm sure. Yeah, there you go. So that's how we scrape whatever we need. We got all the data pieces we need, currency data, and now we need to scrape this every few seconds. Then comes the problem. So one of the things you need to do is make sure it comes from different browsers. Keep changing this. Go get user agent strings from elsewhere. Actually, you'll find a bunch of websites listing a bunch of user agents. I would suggest you put it in an array and then rotate it using a randomizer function. Even then you might get blocked, IP blocked, because it all comes from your IP, isn't it? And Yahoo might just block you, and it will. So at that point in time, you can use my rotating proxy service. I've created one as a SaaS service. Um, if you're using it's called proxiesapi.com. If you're using it, all you need to do is call the Proxies API endpoint with the Yahoo Finance URL, the currency URL here. You don't call it directly. You route it through 2 million different, a pool of 2 million proxies that we use: residential, private, secure proxies, um, non-crowded proxies, which actually does work. And we have inbuilt browser anti-rotation, which is a user as an agent. You don't have to do that. We do that for you. We automatically handle proxy rotation, even multiple retries. Automatically, we retry till we get your results. Even captchas we solve behind the scenes. So what happens is the IP address block, it will be a thing of the past. This is for advanced scraping if you really want to do it. Otherwise, the code should be fine. There is 1,000 API calls free, no credit card required. Sign up. You'll get your API key in 2 minutes, and you can try it out yourself. Otherwise, I still hope you enjoyed the code, even if you don't get it by my service. Doesn't matter to me. This is enjoyable teaching you. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.